Hello, unicorns. So today I'm going to be talking about Whitey Snyder, who is Marilyn Monroe's makeup artist, and more specifically about her makeup routine. Now, I don't have a lot of the same products. We'll get into that a little bit later, but I'm going to do the best I can with what I have. But I will be talking about what she really would have done and what substitutions I'm using and why. So if you want to see if I can create Marilyn Monroe's iconic look, or if you want to learn how to do it yourself, keep watching. Okay, let's dive in. My Christmas unicorn headband. Now, some of you who are in my Facebook group already know this. But for those subscribers who don't, I am holding a contest celebrating 250 subscribers. What is the contest? It is for this Wet n Wild Marilyn Monroe collection. You want to send your entries. Show me your best Marilyn Monroe look. You can use this tutorial to find out how to do it, or you can do it on your own. But send me to this email address your best Marilyn Monroe look. Didn't write it down? Don't worry, it's in the description box below. But you want to send that look to me before January 5th. January 5th is when I will select my winner and the top 5 runners-up, that's right. And then I will announce the winner on my video, on January 13th. Again, send your looks to me at this email address below, and I wish you all the best of luck. Anyway, because of that contest, I decided that I'm going to do a Marilyn Monroe makeup tutorial and brief history lesson on how this iconic look came about. So let's get started. Now, Norma Jean was a naturally beautiful girl. But the iconic Marilyn Monroe look, that was cultivated by many key points in her career, not the least of which was her meeting Alan Whitey Snyder. He would become her makeup artist for the whole of her career. In fact, their relationship was so close that she once asked him, "If I should die before you, will you do my makeup at my funeral?" Not only did he keep that precious promise to her, but he was actually a pallbearer at that funeral. Now, I don't have the actual products that Marilyn used in her routine, either because they're no longer available, they're too bloody expensive, or they're just not that good for your skin. So I will be substituting with what I have on hand, but I will discuss what she did use and what she might have used during her routine. Now, the signature Marilyn Monroe look, it took years to perfect. But once Whitey Snyder actually perfected it for the movie Niagara, and I believe that was 1953, don't kill me if I'm wrong, but that makeup routine stayed with her for the whole of the 50s and much into the next decade in the 60s in her career. In fact, one of the only changes she made in the 60s was to go from a more luminous white shadow to a more matte white shadow. Now, Marilyn was very devoted to skincare and her regimen. Her 2 favorite products were Vaseline and Nivea Cream. Now, granted, we know today that mineral oil and petroleum products such as Vaseline are not good for your skin. But people in the 1950s swore by it. Marilyn would apply a thick layer of Vaseline beneath her foundation, and that would give her her youthful, glowy, dewy skin. Marilyn was very smart, and she knew the secret to success in the movie industry was youth and beauty. And the way to do that was to keep that beautiful, glowy flush. Not only did it do this, but it also gave quite a soft, subtle, soft focus appearance under the camera lights, further creating that illusion of youth. So, knowing that Vaseline can create things like milia and other blockages, I'm not going to do that. Instead, what I used was my Dermablend Brilliant Base Illuminating Primer. It creates a nice glowy gold effect, none of which you see because my foundation is so full coverage. I have to set it down with a light amount of powder. Marilyn didn't use a lot of powder. Again, she liked that very dewy glow, so she just barely set her face down. Me, it's already matte, so I'm going to have to add my illumination back in with highlighter, which she also used. But I'm going to have to go a little more extreme because I'm having to make up that dewy glow that she had. I have melasma and hyperpigmentation on my face, and I really can't get away with anything but full coverage, but that takes away all of my glow and makes me completely matte. Now, if you're wondering, two of Marilyn's favorite foundations was Max Factor and Anita of Denmark. Again, I got some serious discoloration going on in my cheeks, so I went with my full coverage Dermacol, like I do. But if I didn't have the discoloration, I would have gone with something more dewy finish, softer, more glowy. So after foundation and a little bit of setting powder, like I said, Marilyn loved the dewy skin. She applied the Vaseline. She wouldn't use much powder, if any at all. But after that, Whitey would go in and do her eyebrows. Now, those of you who've been watching for a while, you know that I don't have any eyebrows and I use temporary tattoos. So while these are a little light for me, they are the closest to Marilyn's arch that I have in my possession. I'm not going to mess with these because they're pretty good, but Whitey would have actually taken the point up a little sharper and a little higher on her brows. And the reason for that is it would create a wider forehead and elongate the eyes. And Whitey was all about making this heart-shaped face. So this was the highest arch brow that I had, and that's why I went with the one I had. After that eyebrows were done, he would start with a white base on the lid. Now, I've already applied the white base, so we're going to move on to the next step. But he would place the white base. Say that 3 times fast. He would place the white base on her eyes to create that white glow and start that running. Now, I'm going to be using 2 palettes today. I'm going to be using Candy Castle and Bambi from ColourPop. Both of them are from ColourPop. But I'm going to be using this for the white, the Candy Castle for the white shimmer, if I can open it, which is right here. And then for the contour shade, I'm going to be using the Bambi palette, and I'm going to use, I think Young Prince. This one here. Let me see. I don't think that Little April Showers is dark enough. No, we're going to use Young Prince. Yeah, that's what we're going to use. Alright, so let's get started. Let's see. So I'm going to take a fluffy brush, and I'm going in, like I said earlier, in the 50s, Whitey used a more luminous, kind of glowy white shadow to set down the base. In the 60s, it became more matte, like for the Misfits. But we're going to go with the luminous shadow. So I am using this color called Sugar High. The high was throwing me. I couldn't read it. But it's called Sugar High, and it's this kind of glowy white, golden, luminescent white color. And she took it all the way into the inner corners and up through just under her socket bone. And to the outer V. Now the white would brighten and lift her eyes, and it really helped create that dreamy bedroom eye effect. Now, she was very inspired by Greta Garbo, so her look was really stolen from Garbo. Obviously, it was modernized a bit, but yeah, a lot of the features, the highlights, the tricks and tips were all to make her, at least her eyes, look more Garbo-like. And then then Whitey would go in. She wouldn't. Whitey would go in, but she did do her own makeup sometimes. But then Whitey would go in with a very, very soft brown. So I'm using a brown that's a little darker. I'm actually going to use kind of Bashful, and it's a little darker, so I'm going to go in very light with it. Really tap it out and make sure that I have very little product. But really what this was for was to create contour and depth through her eyes. Now what he would do is trace her socket line, but he wouldn't take it into the outer V. That would stay open to continue to elongate her eyes. Now I'm just placing a little color. I actually went a little too far with it. I'm just placing a little color where I want it, and then I'll go and blend it out so it's really gone. I shouldn't have taken it this far in. I should have taken it to about here. Alright, now I'm going to remove any excess product I have. I'm knocking things over here like crazy. I'm going to remove any excess product I have off the brush, and I'm just going to continue to buff that out so it's just really soft and barely visible. And for that, I'm just doing small circular motions. And I'm trying to take it up a little toward my temple. I'm not taking it all the way out to my temple, but just up and toward my temple. And I'm letting the brush do the work for me. I'll do the same thing on the other side. And I'm kind of blending it upward. And again, out towards my temple a little. I want this really soft and blown out. It's almost non-existent. Really, all it's for is to create the illusion of depth. Just going to add a little more in here. Remove the excess product and buff some more. Marilyn Monroe's makeup looked very minimalistic, but it was really quite a complicated routine. Everything she did had purpose, had meaning, was specific. It was all very, very strategic. And so what looks like a simple routine, and what I'm certainly not going to put into it, this routine could have taken Whitey 3 hours to perfect. I ain't got that kind of time, so I'm going to do the shortened version. But again, I'll talk to you about where the time came from. Okay, so next comes eyeliner. Now, a lot of people mistakenly believe that Marilyn Monroe used liquid liner or black liquid liner to make her wing and line. That is not true. Whitey Snyder would use a dark brown pencil liner on her. He would do very close to the lash line, and then a wing and a hill. And what do I mean by that? I will show you. Let me go ahead and do this very tight to the lash line off camera, get that part done, and then I'll show you a couple tricks that Whitey used to further create that downturned bedroom eye look. Hang tight. So I went ahead and completed my right eye off camera. I did the line as close to my lash line as I possibly could on my left eye. I'm just going to show you a few little finishing touches for her signature liner look. So you see where my pupil is, just in here, slightly off to the center of my pupil. I'm going to take this up slightly. I want to try and make sure that I'm doing it about the same on both sides. But you see I'm creating just the slightest little hill here. Okay? And then I'm going to go and create just the littlest wing with my brown pencil. Just the slightest upward swoop, and then I'm taking a pointed Q-tip and I'm just going to soften it all up a little so that the edge is not so harsh. I don't want to move it any higher, so I'm just doing the edges. There you go. So you notice it goes wing, swoop, and back into the tight line, or tight on the lash line. So tight on the lash line, swoop, back down, and wing. Okay? The next thing Whitey would do, and we're going to go in with the same shadow I used for my contour, he would use a brown pencil or a brown shadow. I'm going to go in with the brown shadow, kind of bashful, the same one I used on the upper side, and he would line the lash line very lightly. And I'm taking off the excess product. I'm going to blend that out. And you notice I'm kind of stopping here at the corner. I'm not attaching it because what he would do then is swoop just slightly downward. And what that would do is create the illusion of a shadow from the upper lash. So no matter what light she went in, she had that beautiful shadow. So I'm just going to soften that up. Make it even lighter. We'll do the other side. Same way, you want to keep this tight to the lash line. And then swoop downward. I'll make sure I get the product on there. And then I'm going to remove the excess color. And we're just going to blend that out and soften it so it looks more like a shadow. Now, to even further accentuate that, she would take a white liner, or Whitey would take a white liner, and take it right in between the wing and the downward shadow. And I'm just going to take a Q-tip and soften that up just a little bit so it's not quite so harsh. But I don't want to do it so much that I remove it. I'm just mostly focusing on the end. Whitey would also line her waterline with white in order to make her eyes look bigger and brighter. So let's go ahead and do that. Now, one of the other secrets that Whitey Snyder would do on Marilyn's eyes, before we get into the lashes, was to take a red lip liner or a red shadow or a little bit of red lipstick and pop it right in her inner corner. Just like that. There was a reason for this, actually two reasons. One, it made the inside part of her eye look healthier, and two, it made the whites of her eyes look whiter. Very simple little trick. Okay, so at this point, it gets pretty standard on the eyes. He's going to curl her lashes and apply mascara. I'll go ahead and do that off camera. I'm also going to put on my half lashes. Whitey only used half lashes on Marilyn because it would further create that almond and long elongated eye and that dreamy bedroom effect. And it also created a little bit more lift right on the outer part. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Once again, I'll be back and we'll finish up the complexion. Hang tight. Okay, lashes are done. As you can see, the wing lashes, the shadow, that shadow is always there. It looks like it's casting a shadow from the upper lashes, no matter where I go. Now let's talk contour. Okay, Marilyn contoured very high, or Whitey contoured on Marilyn's face very high again to promote the look of a heart-shaped face. It was very strategic. So she would begin, or he would begin quite high on her cheeks in order to really lift them and help to further minimize the jawline, elongate the forehead, and create that illusion of a heart-shaped face. Now, Marilyn had a kind of heart-shaped widow's peak into her forehead, which really helped to further create the heart shape, but a lot of the contouring that Whitey would do was to promote that. Now, in addition to the contouring, which would have been under her jaw, on her cheeks, not so much in the forehead, maybe just a little in the peak, just to again further give it that kind of feeling of a heart shape. A little under her lip. But really most of the contouring was in the jawline, the cheeks, and the nose. So we're just going to carve out the jawline a little with my Jingle Bell earrings. I don't have any Marilyn Monroe style clothes anymore that fit me, so we just went with the Christmas shirt. Santa, let me explain. Now again, Whitey would have cut her jaw. I'm going more of a square, so let's kind of do more what she would do. He wanted to create more of a heart-shaped look, so that square that I have in my jaw, he would have cut that right in half to create a more heart-shaped look to the chin and jawline. So we're going to do the same thing and just kind of bring up my contour a little higher on my face. Very subtle on the cheeks. And then let me grab a contour brush for my nose. Now, Marilyn had a nose job. The studio made her get one. But even with the nose job, she felt like her nose was too big. So Whitey would take right in through here, really narrow down her nose. Oops. And then he would take a good amount under her nose to shorten it. And then he would take the line right above her nose to create that kind of button effect. So I'm just placing color down right now. He wouldn't go so high as to up to her eyebrows, but it was really just around here, like this. Okay, and then he would blend everything out. So we're going to take the fluffy side of the brush and just blend it using small circular motions. I just want it to stop from looking like dirt on my nose and actually looking like shadow. Puff that little line right in the center. And see how that kind of creates the button nose? Now let's talk blush. Even Marilyn's blush was used to further create the lift and the illusion of the heart shape. It was not common to the way blush was being placed during the 50s, which was usually in the apples of the cheeks. And Whitey always used a peach tone on her, so I'm going in with my new PLouise Take the Whisk or Lose the Chance blush, which is kind of a real gingerbread feeling. But I'm probably going to use this color right here because it has less of an orange hue than this one and a little bit darker than that one. But I'm going to go very, very light. Now, instead of placing it in the apples, I'm going to start here and right along that contour, I'm going to take it up to further lift my cheeks. And then I'm going to place just a little in my temples to help create that heart shape effect. Okay, and we'll do the same on the other side. Again, avoiding the apples of my cheeks. And we'll put a little bit in the temples. And then highlighter. Now, she already had a very dewy glow, so Whitey would place her highlighter again very strategically. Again, to further lift her cheeks and to create a center point on her nose that seemed smaller. So he would take highlighter in through here. And then he would take it up through here. And then he would put it on her nose, but there was one very important step to the blush that I forgot, and that is that he would always take a little blush on the underside of her nose to further create that button feel. Just a little color on the tip of her nose. I probably put too much on, actually. So I'm going to remove it. Take some of that off, and then I'm going in with the highlighter, which you would put right in the button of her nose, a little up here and into her forehead. And I have very many wrinkles, so I generally don't do this with my highlighter, but it's what she did. And a little bit on her chin. Get a little more highlight in there because she was pretty glowy. Now Whitey didn't use this much highlighter, but she was very glowy from the Vaseline. And since I'm not, I'm very matte, I'm going to go in with a little more highlighter than she used. Finally, her lips. Now I am not about to do Marilyn's lip routine. First of all, it was extensive. Often 5 coats of everything. And she would use 3 to 5 products on her lips. Whitey knew that both the illusion, by mixing different reds and creating an illusion of fullness, plus using multiple coats of the same products, would create volume to her lips and make them luscious and full. Me, I don't have luscious and full lips, but what I did do was saturate my lips with my plumping oil. And I am going to use a lip liner and 2 different shades of red, and a gloss. I'm going to use everything she did, just not as many coats. She would put all these coats of all the products on, and then blot, and then apply it all again. We're not doing that today, because ain't nobody got time for that. I'm not famous. I don't have 3 hours to take for my makeup. So, we're going to start with my lip liner in the shade Overtime from its ColourPop Lippy Pencil in the shade Overtime. And we're going to start with my Cupid's bow. Which I'm going to try and keep its normal size. And then I'm going to overdraw just slightly. And I'm going to overline just slightly. Then I'm going in with my Marc Jacobs lipstick in the color Dashing. And I'm going to take that right around the lip liner and just around the outside. Trying very hard not to color outside the lines. And then finally I'm going to fill in the inside with my Revlon Color Stay Ultimate Suede in the shade Finale, which is a lighter, kind of less blue red. Now at this point, Marilyn would blot and start all over again. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to blot. And there's the lip. Now I'm going to go over it with, or go over the bottom lip a little bit with the same shimmer I used on my eye. Just in the bottom lip. And Whitey would do that to try and create more volume. And finally, he would go over it with a lip gloss formula that he and Marilyn created together and kept a secret past her death. I don't think anyone knows how to make it. Finally, he'd finish it up with her iconic beauty mark. Now, everyone wants to know what side. Actually, she did have a birthmark on her left cheek, which is where it started, but she used to move it. It would be on the left, it would be on the right, it would be down on her chin. But we're going to go with the iconic beauty mark right here, and I'm using my brown liner for it. And then I'm just going to use my finger soften it up so it looks more like a beauty mark. Now, I don't have a blonde wig. I do, but it's not a Marilyn wig, but you get the idea. This was Marilyn Monroe's makeup routine. Again, I took some shortcuts, but you know what she would have done during the 50s and 60s, or what Alan Whitey Snyder would have done to her face during the 50s and 60s. As far as tutorials go with substitutes and everything, it's pretty accurate, but also very doable with the substitutes. But I'll go ahead and zoom you in. Before I do, though, please subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Please hit the like button. Please hit the notification bell to find out when I drop new content. I try to drop every Saturday, but sometimes life gets in the way. Also, I'm currently holding a contest, which is why I did this Marilyn tutorial. I hit 250 subscribers, and my gain is your gain. I bought the Wet n Wild Marilyn Monroe collection for me and one for you. So if you email me your best Marilyn Monroe look to the email address below, also in the description box, you could win this beautiful collection to be sent to you and opened in a double unboxing together. Please hit that bell. Please hit the like button. Please leave a comment. I really want to hear from you. What do you want to see? Don't forget that I'm still holding a contest at 500 subscribers for these two PLouise beautiful palettes. It's like 4 palettes in one collection. In the meantime, as always, thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching, and stay magical.